everyone. Mike Vogel here for WashingtonCaps.com, back with another episode of Break the Ice, joined as always by crack producer Zach Garrett, and happy to have with us today Caps left wing Andrew Cristall as he prepares to embark upon year one of the pro career. So, Andrew, this is your third development camp. It's only 2 years and a couple of days since you heard your name called on the draft floor in Nashville at the 2023 NHL draft. Couple of pro camps, couple of development camps, and now this is the big year. You turn pro in the fall. How do you feel like those 4 camps previous, this one, and I think it's 5 preseason games now have helped 5. You get ready for what's to come here in the fall?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a learning experience. It's been a whole lot of fun, and I feel like coming into this dev camp, I'm pretty familiar with the surroundings and whether it's stuff I need to find in the rink and the facility, or the names of all the staff, and kind of just places around the rink where if you want a quick bite, go grab something to eat and stay fresh and ready. I think all that kind of just ties into confidence and me feeling good to come to the rink and perform my best. So it's been a lot of fun for junior hockey and all these camps, but I think I'm ready to turn the page and hopefully go pro.
And just mindset-wise, you walk in here as an 18-year-old kid for the first time, a couple of days after being drafted, and then now, having put together 2 really strong seasons, 2 more really strong seasons, I should say, in the WHL. How much difference does your head feel just from those 2 years and having been back? And the other thing is, same staff. You mentioned the staff. The coaches have remained the same, which is, I think a little bit unusual in this sport these days. How much does that help too?
Yeah, it helps a lot. I think, mentally, it's obviously, I feel really good. I feel really confident, and like you said, like all the staff being here for the whole time I've been here, I've got to know a lot of them really well, and I feel super comfortable around them, and they just are so welcoming, and they have so much knowledge, whether, it's stuff on the ice, off the ice, how to eat, how to take care of your body. There's so many different things that they have so much information on. So, it's been a really good learning experience to kind of ask questions and bounce ideas off, whether it's the player development or strength coaches and whatnot. And, I feel really good about that.
What's it like kind of renewing acquaintances with the players who've been here at previous camps with you, and also checking out the new kids? And I know you played a little bit against Lyndon Lakovic. What's that like? And sort of establishing relationships with these guys that hopefully you'll be playing alongside for the next decade or so in a perfect world.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big part of it. I feel like we have a really strong group of prospects, and all of them are such great guys and great people off the ice. We're always hanging out and making jokes and going to do things together. So whenever we get a chance to kind of come together and see each other, it's a whole lot of fun. And like you said, like Lyndon, I've only played him a couple times in the Western League, actually, since we're on the other side of the conference. Yeah. But he's obviously a really big player, and can skate really well, and he's got an unreal shot. So another good addition. So hopefully and soon, sooner rather than later, we can all be playing together and try and win a cup.
Let's talk a little bit about your season last year, because you almost made this team, I feel like, the Capitals team last year, with a terrific training camp, and I'm sure you must have taken quite a good deal of confidence back to Kelowna. Got off to a great start. I think you had a 15-game point streak early in the season where you piled up like 40 points in 15 games. It was remarkable. Only once all season did you go as many as 2 games without a point. 38 multi-point games out of 57. I think there were 7 games where you had 5 or more points. Highest point total in the league in the last decade, exceeded only by Connor Bedard. Pretty good company there. And the first WHL player in the 21st century to amass 400 or more career points. And finally, first Caps drafted player to win the Bob Clark Award, the scoring title in the Western League, in 20 years. And actually only the second one ever, and that would have been Eric Fair 20 years ago. Drafted 20 years apart, scoring title 20 years apart. So just a remarkable season and a great long playoff run too. Let's start there. what was it like for you to have that midseason move from Kelowna to Spokane? I'm guessing you could probably see that coming, that you were going to go somewhere. But what was that like to mid-season integrate yourself with a new group and leave a group that you'd been around since you were in your mid-teens?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much grew up in Kelowna, and with that core group of players that I was kind of with for all those years. So it's obviously an adjustment to getting traded and joining a new team, but I obviously had a little bit of heads up there to kind of know what was going on. And when I found out I was going to Spokane, it was nothing but pure excitement. They had such a good team already, and I feel like if I could come in and play my game, I could help them as well. And I think just off the ice, they're such a tight team, such a good room, and they're younger players, older players, doesn't really matter. Everybody hangs out together and gels really well. So I think that's kind of why we had a lot of success. But obviously changing and things like that, you just got to adapt and welcome it, because obviously in pro hockey things happen a lot and on the fly, and you're moving teams, moving places. So maybe it was a good introduction to that. But I thought I handled it pretty well, and overall pretty happy with the year. And unfortunately it came up short in the finals, but with everything else I was pretty pleased with.
I was going to say, I know it didn't end the way you want to, but how much value is there in that I think 19-game playoff run, a few series? Just you feel that the gravity and the weight of every game growing as you go through that. It's the nice weather. It's just can't wait for the next game. Yeah. Just that whole feeling just understanding the magnitude of it all, and even feeling that heartbreak, because there's motivation that can come out of that too.
Totally. I think, it's obviously a devastating loss, and you never want to lose, but there's always something to take out of it. It's a learning experience for, everybody on that team, and including myself. And, it's a feeling that you don't really want to feel again. So it's definitely a big motivation to, go out every shift, every game to kind of bring it and, not want to lose. But yeah, like you said, every game gets more intense, and the build-up gets more and more when you got a little bit more days in between games, when you kind of get closer to the finals and weather's nice, and all the fans are coming out and supporting. It's a pretty fun time to play hockey, and it's a blast. There's nothing like playoff hockey, and especially in the NHL. Just watching it this year, how intense it was and how fun it looked. It was good that I had a long run in junior, and hopefully in pro hockey can do the same.
Now, after these development camp ends, they pull all you kids into the room. They talk to you about, when we see you in September, we like you to work on this, try to get better at this, etc. How do you feel like you've handled those messages that they've delivered to you, whether it's in July or in September? And what do you see as the biggest hurdles as you try to adjust and navigate this bridge from the WHL to the NHL, the AHL, whatever it might be, this fall?
Yeah, I think I've handled those conversations pretty well, and I think it's probably more of a credit to the staff on communicating what you need to do and what you need to improve on to kind of get to the next level. And the conversations I've had after development camps and training camps are all positive, but they kind of send you back with a little bit of fuel to the fire on what you need to do to kind of try and make the team obviously the next year. I think just going from junior to pro hockey, it's just a lot faster. I think the pace is just up a whole nother level, and I think if I can kind of play with pace and work on my speed and things like that, I think I'll be good.
I know you and Connor Bedard are pretty close, and I'm sure you've got other friends, people that you've played with and played against who've ascended to the NHL by now, or at least had a little taste. Do you pick their brains at all, check in with them, ask them for any advice or just things that you might not see laying in the weeds as you try to go through this progression?
Yeah, totally. There's, I'm always trying to pick their brain a little bit. You don't want to be, too nudgy, and but at the end of the day, the guys that I'm with, Connor and Kent Johnson lives in my house, who plays in Columbus. It's they're always kind of giving advice and helping me to kind of see things or what they see at the pro level in the NHL, and what kind of gives them success. And I feel like I'm pretty lucky to be in my situation where maybe I get a little bit of a heads up on how things worked and what they did to kind of see some improvement. So always picking their brains, and they're such nice people to kind of help me out and not keep any of that to themselves. So I'm pretty grateful.
Your point totals went up every year that you were in the Western League. How do you feel like your game has grown, especially in these last 2 years since being drafted and being exposed to pro camps and such?
Yeah, I think it's improved a lot. I think just kind of more of a maturity kind of side of the game. I think, obviously going into Kelowna as a 16-year-old, it's a whirlwind, and you want to be all about the offense and things like that. And while it's definitely my game, I think throughout the course of my junior career and coming to preseason here, I think my defensive game has come around a lot, and I feel like I have a really good stick and can kind of see things in the defensive zone that can maybe get the puck back and create a turnover. So I think that's definitely a big improvement in my game, as well as just my skating and my speed has come a long way too, but still a lot of work on both those areas to be done.
How much confidence do you get from just that preseason last year, being able to, and hearing Coach Carberry talk about this kid is best player on the ice tonight, or had a strong game? What does that do for your confidence?
Yeah, it's a pretty great feeling. I feel like after the game, if you have a good game and you kind of hear that, it just makes you feel a lot better. And that whole experience was pretty incredible. Actually, it was, all the guys were super nice and welcoming, and I was lucky enough to go on that kind of team bonding trip to Columbus, and that was a whole lot of fun. And they didn't leave me out of anything. They kind of brought me along for dinners and to go to a soccer game and things like that. So it was just an unbelievable experience, and something I'll remember forever. But in those games I felt really good, really confident, so hopefully I can bring that into the next preseason.
What's your favorite part of this development camp week away from the arena? Because you guys on little excursions and whatnot. What's the best part when you're not here?
Yeah, just bonding with the guys. On Monday, there's a good amount of us, probably 8 or so, that just decided to go to the zoo, and I went down there, checked out some animals, hung out, grabbed bites to eat, just kind of little things like that where we can talk and get to know the new guys a little bit and just have fun. I think that's the biggest thing, kind of away from the rink. We all have a good time together.
You've been out of school, I'm guessing, for a couple of years now. What was the adjustment like for all of a sudden having a ton of free time, and how do you make the most of that free time? And what are your hobbies away from the rink? What do you like to do on a night with no game?
On a night with no game, it's obviously go to the rink, practice, and without school you kind of stay at the rink a little bit longer and either stay in the gym a little bit more, stay on the ice a little bit more, and kind of recover a little bit better. And then lucky that I was on the West Coast for this year and the past 4 years, so once the games start rolling at 4 o'clock in the NHL, it's kind of all the boys get together and maybe sit on the couch and just kind of watch the games throughout the night and kind of talk about it. And I think that helps as well with getting better, just watching the best players play hockey. It helps a lot. So my nights are usually filled with hockey, and that's probably my biggest hobby to do that. But when the weather gets nice, maybe go outside and shoot some hoops or play a little bit of catch or baseball and things like that. Stay active.
That's pretty interesting. That sounds like a cross between a couple of extremes that we've had here over the years. Where TJ Oshie, I don't know that he ever watched a game that he wasn't playing in, but Dylan Strome would sit and watch every single game every night and be you could go to his stall in the morning and he could recount shifts, plays, everything from and I think there's value in both approaches. But Osh's thing was, I'd rather be playing. I want to compete. But it seems like you got a little bit of both of those things. And I know Osh was big on playing other sports as well, which I think is big too.
Yeah, totally. I feel like Stromer, when I was here, he knew all the stats of everything, and it was pretty cool to see that. So I feel like I'm pretty similar to him in that way. I love the game. I'm a hockey junkie. I'm always looking at who's winning and standings and things like that. But I think it's also important to kind of do some other things, kind of like Oshie, how he likes to do other stuff. And I feel like I'm maybe a good mix of both. And it's something you got to adjust to, obviously.
How close tabs were you able to keep on the Caps over the last 2 years since you were drafted, and especially this past year with the team having such a great season and the OV chase? Pretty exciting here. I'm guessing it would have been for you as well.
Yeah, it was super exciting, I think, for any hockey fan in the world. I was, obviously keeping really close tabs on how they're doing, and obviously had so much success this year. And I mean, obviously the chase was pretty incredible to watch, how he did that. And I remember the time he broke it. I think it was like a matinee game, so it was like 9 o'clock in the morning for me on a Sunday after I played the night before, and I set my alarm.
Playoffs by then, I think.
Yeah, I set my alarm to get up and watch that. So it was just a pretty fun year to watch the Caps, and I'm sure being here and following them too it was a blast. So yeah.
And one of the highlights of this week is Saturday's 3-on-3 scrimmage tournament type thing, and you guys have that draft a little bit later on this afternoon. Having been through a couple of those things, and I don't think I saw your name on the list of team captains, but what would you any advice to the team captains on draft strategy or how to deal with the ins and outs of that?
Yeah, I think I was a captain last year, so maybe have a little I didn't win, unfortunately, but I thought our team did pretty well. But yeah, I think it's kind of just go based on whatever you see on the ice or how we're feeling. I don't know if guys are going to pick defense forwards or whatnot, or goalies. So I mean, I don't really have too much advice. I think it's a whole lot of fun, and I think it's just more about getting out there and competing rather than the draft. But it is a little nice, fun little time to kind of get together and have that.
There's a lot of kids here, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but who are you looking forward to sharing the ice with at the NHL level the most, as far as your skills meshing with theirs, whether it's a D-man on the power play or an opposite winger or a playmaker in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys. Obviously, I think a D-man, I think playing with Cole would be awesome, especially on the power play. He can maneuver a puck so well, and he's just so skilled and just puts his teammates in the right spots to make a play. So I think playing with him would be pretty awesome. And then a guy like Little Pro, I think would be super fun to play with, just in the drills even today. And last dev camp, he's just so skilled and so big. He can win a puck and throw a flat sauce on the ice or get it to you when you need it. And he could score as well, and just, such a big body and super smart. So I think those two guys would be, a lot of fun to play with, and, hopefully we're playing with each other soon.
You're known as a really inventive player and someone who's got a lot of deceit, deception in your game. What goes into that? What's the laboratory for that? How do you build those skills? How do you maintain them? How do you improve upon them?
Yeah, I think growing up, it's just watching a lot of hockey, kind of like I do now. I think I take stuff out of lots of players' games that I kind of want to implement, and then I kind of go on the ice and try those things, whether it's in a practice or I just go out there to hop on open ice by myself and do those things. I think I just have so much fun when I go on the ice. I always want to be out there. So growing up, it wasn't hard to find ice, and it wasn't hard to put me on the ice at all. So I'd always want to be out there trying new things and seeing what I could do with the puck. I think it's just a lot of fun. So that's kind of where it started, and it just keeps growing.
Who are the players that really inspired you as a kid, and who are the ones that inspire you now?
Yeah, I think as a kid there is, I was a pretty big Canucks fan growing up, being from Vancouver, and just watching the Sedins and how they worked the puck and worked well together. It was just magnificent to watch. I think they always knew where they were, and I just loved their give and goes and how they played hockey and the right way. It was awesome to watch. And then kind of growing up a little bit more, I think I paid attention to a couple guys. Kind of Kucherov was a big one. How he could pick up pucks off the wall and find a player in the middle of the ice to score, or whether he's coming down the ice and gets in the zone or things like that. And Mitch Marner as well. I think those are two guys that I watched a lot. And then obviously getting drafted here, there's a couple guys like Oshie you mentioned, and then Backstrom, just how their brains worked, and how Oshie just always competed and got to the net. I think there's a lot of things that I could take out of that too. So there's a few guys.
the Sedins were absolutely dominant, like below the dots. I feel like for a guy your size, you're pretty good at that game and playing the cycle game. How did that part of your game come together?
Yeah, I think maybe just growing up, just good coaches that were kind of started you off by picking pucks up on the wall in practice and, starting a drill, whether it's off a rim or off a pickup, kind of like that. And I think that's just something I've always kept in my mind to kind of do that all the time. And it's something that they stress a lot here, especially Slater, the player development coach for the forwards. He, the games are won on the wall and they end at the net. So I think that's a big thing that we've been working on and that we worked on today as well. It's just picking pucks up off the wall and kind of getting that cycle game and getting your head up to find layers.
Have you spent much time with Kenny McCudden?
Yeah, a little bit.
Camps?
Yeah, at the camps he's been. I'd kind of always just stay out at training camp and I'd go with him and he'd run through some drills and all of that. So it was great and he's such a great personality, great person, and so much knowledge obviously about the game and things to do. So definitely was around him lots.
What's the rest of your summer look like after this week? I guess you got probably almost exactly 2 months before you return here in the fall, and knowing that you're embarking on the pro career and trying to make it start in Washington.
Yeah, for me it's go back to Vancouver and we got a really good training group, good training setup to get stronger in the gym and then work on my skills on the ice. So kind of get right back after it, and it's a big opportunity. It's my first year kind of trying to go pro, and it's just it's not something I'm taking for granted. It's a big opportunity. So kind of go back to Vancouver, play a little bit of golf, and kind of hang out in the nice weather, and it's about all.
I mean, how cool was that too? That in that playoff run, you guys get to play against Vancouver, Victoria. That's not bad as far as a couple of road cities. I think in that league, especially that time of year.
Oh yeah, it was great, and obviously very close to home. So going to that Vancouver series, a lot of family, a lot of friends coming out to the games, and I was pretty happy that we could win there instead of losing in front of all my family and friends. And same thing as Victoria, it's just a quick ferry over. So it was a blast to play those teams, and obviously super nice places to go visit as well when the weather's nice. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I heard you tell the story yesterday about losing the tooth. Aerodynamically, do you feel that like as you're going up and down the ice, you hear a little whistle or anything?
Oh yeah, I think it was more right when it popped out. It was just feeling the cold air kind of hit your face. It was not a pleasant feeling at all, but I think now it's just kind of a funny little thing to kind of get chirped about a little bit and have some fun with.
I think you're rocking it pretty good there.
Thank you.
So it's great to see you and appreciate you taking the time, and we're really looking forward to seeing you back on the ice here this September and seeing where it all goes, and hope you're around here for a good long time.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks to Andrew Cristall for spending some time with us on this edition of Break the Ice.